What's up, guys? We are back and we are live. Welcome back to our live feeds, BSPN. As you're logging on, say hi. Tell me where you're from, where you're logging in from. This is not our normal time. I have a class to go to tonight, so I had to do this a little bit earlier if I was going to get it in. But we weren't on at all last week because I was on a little mini vacation. So I wanted to get on here and make sure that we wrapped up Charlotte as we go into a really, really busy show weekend coming up. So say hello when you log on. We're seeing some eyeballs come up now. And if you're new here, we do always wait a few minutes just for everybody to get their notifications to know that we're live before we get started on this. But tonight we are going to wrap up Charlotte and we are going to preview Wasatch and Girl Power. So go ahead and type in, say hello. Or I'll just sit here and talk to myself because I can do that too. But it's a lot more fun when you guys participate with me. Hello from Canada. There we go. Connecticut. Hello. And the live is on a bit of a delay. I think it's like a 30-second delay or something like that. So we got North Carolina in the house. What's up? Awesome. Castle Rock. Where's that? Arkansas? I don't know where Castle Rock is. New Mexico. Got people all over the place. Love that. What's up, It's California? You'll see up in the corner the QR code that we have for today is for our monthly newsletter. We do send out a newsletter every month. Oh, Colorado. Okay, Castle Rock. I was thinking Little Rock, Arkansas. So that's what I was thinking. I was like, I don't know where Castle Rock is, but cool. So yeah, if you sign up for our free newsletter, that gives you a recap of everything that we've done for the month, gives you some fitness tips and things like that. It's a really cool little newsletter we do each month. So go ahead and sign up for that. It is free into your inbox, all of that. If you click the description box, you'll see all of our sponsors. We have Liquid Sunrays in there, Prozis. We have Lost Dog Cafe in there, which is a new one, who does some good stuff for rescues, for dog rescues. So check them out as well. We are about 3 minutes in, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So like I was saying, we do wait about 3 minutes or so for everybody to get logged on, get settled in. And I know this is not our normal time for going live, but I have a class to go to a little later. So I wanted to make sure I got on live with you guys this week, because last week I was on a little bit of a mini vacation. So just kind of stayed unplugged for a little bit, which I do encourage people to do from now and again, just to kind of reset everything. So because I was on vacation for a bit, I had a ton of work to do when I got back, and I'm still not done. So I'm still playing catch up. And one of those things we're playing catch up on is wrapping up the Charlotte Pro. So the Charlotte Pro was not this past weekend, but the weekend before. We did not wrap it up. We did preview it, but we did not wrap it up. So we're going to do a wrap up of that. I'll be honest, I have not even looked through the photos. I saw a little bit of stuff on social media, things like that. I don't know what feedback was for people, things like that. So I'm just going to go through this and tell you what I see. And then we'll go from there. And then we will preview Wasatch and Girl Power for the weekend. This coming weekend is going to be a big weekend. So here's this one. There we go. Okay. So this was the results of Charlotte. Now I did have a couple of my own girls that I work with in this show. We had Cece and we had Karen in the show. So it was awesome to see them compete as well. But this top five pretty much played out kind of what we thought it was going to. You know, we showed a few people that we could see up in that top five. Most of them did get up in there. The organization of the top five placings was a little bit different than probably some people thought. But, you know, once you get up to that top five, it really is a matter of who shows up best that day, that kind of thing. So let's start with our fifth place here. which was Kiki. So if you remember on the preview, I mentioned with Kiki, she's done pretty decent this last year. So she's going to be getting up in those top 5. So I did say she was one of those ones where she could definitely be somebody in the mix here. And she was. So, well, I'm trying to find a good picture with her eyes open. Most of these have her eyes closed. There we go. We got one with her eyes open. Okay. Share this one. Okay, so one thing that really stood out to me for this particular show, in comparison to shows of hers in the past, I've mentioned is her glam and everything like that on point. So her makeup here at this show was 10 times better than what I saw last year. So I don't know. I think last year she was doing her glam herself. I'm not sure if she did her glam herself this year or if she had somebody do it for her. But whatever she did, it was the right thing. Glam looks better, tan, hair, everything. With these pictures, I like the suit color. I'm wondering what it looked like in person. Green can be a hit or miss, but from what I'm seeing from the pictures, I do like it. She has a little bit of an issue with her pocket of her implant. So this is not an issue with the suit fit. This is actually just something she has to deal with her own anatomy, because I've asked her about that myself. So, in general, I think this was a very, very good look for her. I think this was right on point. Her waistline's nice and tight. Conditioning is right on, all of that. I don't know if I've ever seen her look any better than this, to be honest with you. So this was really good for her. The only thing I might change with this particular look and the front pose is that back arm is a little bit hard. I would probably let it relax a little bit, just the back arm. The rest of it, I would pretty much keep where it is. I mean, her foot placement's good, all of that stuff. We're seeing a good pop in the glute. She may want to try adjusting the toe position in the front a little bit to see if we can get a little bit more upper glute to pop right here in this front pose. But her waistline looks really super tight here and everything. So I think she did a good job with this front pose. I don't know if it could be better. I would have to see the foot position in a different place to see if it's better or not. So this might be the best position for her. So this was for me, like I said, I thought this was a really good look for her. I'll go ahead and find a back shot for her. Hold on. Well, if they have a back shot, let's see. Oh yeah, they do. Okay, so let's see, they don't have a full length back shot of her. So I'm going to pull up this one. It's the closest one we got. She's where she's posed. We don't see her feet, unfortunately. But, hit the wrong button. Here we go. All right. So I would say just in general, she just still needs more glutes from the back. I think this is a really, again, I think her conditioning is pretty good. May be able to go a little bit fuller because we're seeing some pretty tight hamstrings. Everything in here is a little bit too much. We're seeing a little bit too much hamstring and adductor and all that in there. So probably needs to fill out just a touch right there. I do thought it's good on her. But I think she just needs more glutes, just in general. I think her legs are fine where they are. She probably could put a little bit of size on her legs as well, because then she could fill them out a little bit more and they wouldn't look quite so diced in the hamstrings. Upper body's great, wouldn't change a thing. Again, hair is on point. This was something else that was a problem last year. Her hair is much, much better this year as far as the blend and her extensions and all of that. So, but what I see here when I look at her back pose, I see a lack of projection in her glutes. I see a lack of upper outer glute. I see it's a little bit of a divot here on the outer side here. I think some of this could be posing, but also she has a really short torso. So I feel like she needs to arch a little bit more than some girls do, because she needs to make that waistline look small from the back. And if she doesn't do that, she's not going to get that illusion there. So again, going back to, I think that her posing is probably right. I think she just needs some more mass back there in order to get those glutes to really pop. She's done a really good job just in general with growth, but I just think she needs a little bit more in order to get that to really, really pop for her. But like I said, as far as I'm concerned, I feel like this was one of her better looks that I've seen from her, if not the best look I've seen from her. So I expect her to see her just get better as she goes along. Next, we have Jordan in fourth. Let me get a front shot for her. Here we go. Front shot. Okay. Share. So she came in noticeably softer for this show, which is something that they wanted to see. I felt like her glam was I know her glam was a little bit different than what she did before. I'd like to see kind of a mix of this glam and what she did at the Arnold. I kind of like her eyes better that she had at the Arnold, but I like her lips better at this one. I think her overall face, like foundation and stuff, is better at this one. So I do think that like a blend of those two looks would be the better look for her. I'd like to see just a little bit more volume in her hair as well. It looks a little flat to me, so I'd like to see it up and off her face a little bit. I think the softer look works for her, but I just feel like maybe she wasn't super confident in the softer look. So I think that might be what's affecting it, really. I want to see a little bit more pop in the shoulders, which is funny to say because a lot of times when we see pictures of her like online, people always comment on how big her shoulders are and stuff like that. But they're really not. It's just a matter of balancing it with the arms. So I'd like to see just a little bit more roundness in that shoulder cap, just to get it to pop a little bit more. Waistline's tight. I don't see anything wrong with that. Again, her conditioning here, in my opinion, is much better than what she had at the Arnold. But it's just like, it's almost like the lack of being sure of it, which I know she was having issues with that mentally going into it. She's not, not really comfortable with coming in softer. So I just like to see her amp up that confidence factor for her a little bit more right there. Let's find a back shot for her. Okay, we got full length, fully posed, so that's good. All right. So this was a new suit for her too. I was not a fan of the suit cut from the back. It's a little bit too small, in my opinion. We show a little bit of like almost like what's the word I'm looking for? Soft is not what shallowness almost is what it looks like. So we're seeing tailbone. So this suit bottom either needs to be a little bit bigger or it needs to be pulled up from the front a little bit because this is too small up here in the back. I do like the suit color. I just don't like the suit cut, how it's sitting on her. So great projection in the glutes. I actually like, again, this conditioning a little bit better than the Arnold from her bottom half. But her top half, again, is lacking some pop here at the top. It's almost like same thing with the hair. The hair is just lacking a little bit of pop from the top. So I really like this look for her from the waistline down, but from the waistline up is where we're missing a little bit of something, whether it's just we got to pop the shoulders or whatever it is. I just want to see a little bit more from her up top. I think her glute projection looks great here, but I do think that the actual suit cut is hurting her here. If I was her, I would probably go back to the other suit. I think it fit her a little bit better. Again, I don't mind this color. I do like the color on her, but just the cut is more flattering on the other suit that she has. So that would be my 2 cents there. So it's kind of like she just needs to blend. Again, she just kind of needs to blend the two looks that she had together from the Arnold and from this show. If she could do that, I think she could get a really, really good like finished look, right? So we're going to go to third place, which was Romina. Okay, so Romina ended up in third. And this is one that we talked about. Like she was, outside the top 5 her last show, but she came in much tighter at this show. And so she moved up. Like we've talked about before, she's one you don't ever want to count out. She's been a top 5 Olympian in the past. So top 10 Olympian in the past. She's not one that you want to sleep on ever because she comes back looking better whenever she does falter, So now this is what I was talking about as far as the pop in the shoulder, right? So Romina's conditioning is a bit softer as well, which is good. I think that's a good direction as far as that's concerned. It's tighter than her last show, but it's just a little bit on the softer side in general, right? But what we see from her is we see that shoulder cap here, right? This is what I'd like to see. This is actually a little bit too tight on the shoulder cap, but this is kind of like the shoulder cap I was talking about with Jordan. I'd like to see that shoulder just be a little bit more prominent versus the arm, if that makes sense. So maybe it's a matter of Jordan just bringing the arm down a little bit so the shoulder shows up a little bit better. But this is what we're talking about. We're just that differentiation between the shoulder and the rest of the arm. For Romina, this is a very good look. She tends to, in my opinion, look a little top heavy. A lot of that has to do with her posing and how she actually like twists really straight towards the judges. I felt like she diminished that a bit here. Now, to me, she still is wider across the top than she is on the bottom. However, because she fixed that posing and because her waistline is super tight for this show, it's much, much better. It's a much, much better balance than what she's had at the last few years, to be honest with you. So conditioning looks really good. Again, her waistline is tight. There's been issues in the past where she has not had that tight, crisp waistline here. She absolutely does in this particular show. So much, much better look from her all the way around, just in general from her last few showings that she's had. Let's go to her back pose. And in my opinion, there's a lot of shows where like Romina kills people from the back and then she just doesn't from the front. Now she's a little bit more better balanced from the front, which is evening things out. So back pose here. I don't know if she's fully posed here. Hold on. There's not one where she's really fully posed, I don't think. Here we go. But it's not a full shot. So that's the unfortunate part about this particular show. The pictures and stuff, as though she is fully posed here, but it's a close up, so we don't see the legs. We don't see the full length of the actual pose. But that said, decent back shot. I feel like she's diminished her glutes a bit. That was probably because she had to bring her conditioning in. So when you bring conditioning in, you lose volume everywhere. You can't just pick and choose. So it looks like she lost a little bit of volume from the back. Still has great glutes, don't get me wrong. These are just not the typical like pow kind of glutes that we see from Romina, in my opinion. Some of this is just like this upper part of this glute in here, medial glute. It could be posing. It could be. But I can't see the full pose. So I can't make that determination. Maybe she just needs to go a little bit wider with her feet or something. But see, she's already shifting out of her pose here. So as far as the conditioning is concerned, looks really good with the conditioning. Like she's got the tie-ins, but not super sharp. So that's all in criteria. Her waistline is tight. Her shoulders are not too overpowering. Again, I've always felt like her upper body was just too wide for her lower body. So you can see that she's trying to manage that, trying to mitigate that, try to make that not a thing anymore. So I do think she looks a bit better balanced here, but I just like to see those glutes just pop a little bit more here. So I feel like she's probably going to catch her stride in the next few shows, because it looks like she can get herself really well conditioned for this show. So she probably lost a little bit of that oomph. And now going into the next few shows that she does, I'm guessing she's going to end up filling out a little bit more and popping everything a little bit more, and probably see her back to her old glutes, but with the conditioning that she has now, which would be the right move for her. Let's see. Next up, we have Ariana. So she came in second. I think this was a great look for Ariana. She stuck with the pink that she wore at the Arnold. Again, I like the pink. I like the red better. I'm just going to be honest. I like the red better on her. Do we have a front pose? I guess, yeah, we got a front pose here. This will work. So to me, I feel like she can still get her waistline tighter. We're still seeing a little bit of skin here. So that tells me I feel like we can just suck that down just a little bit more and really get that to pop. I just feel like overall, her conditioning needs to come in just a smidge tighter in order to get her body to really, the proportions to really pop, right? From the front, it's not bad. She can hang, but she's still a little soft in comparison to a lot of the girls here. So from the back is where it kind of drops off as far as that's concerned. She has a great back shot. I'm going to show you that in a second. So again, I wouldn't change a whole lot with this front pose. Maybe just relax the shoulder a little bit. It's a little bit hiked up. So just breathe and relax that down. But this could also be an in-between shot too. So that might be part of it. But if we go to her back shot, which again, there's not one where she's fully posed. That's full length. I mean, this is it, but it's just not full length. Okay. So there's a couple things here with the back pose where she can definitely use some fixing. She's pinching her upper body and she's really arching hard. You can tell she's really arching hard because you can actually see the skin folds in her lower back right here, right? And she's making this waistline here look super, super tiny as far as the length is concerned. She needs to stand up to lengthen that a little bit to balance her upper body with her lower body. Right now, her upper body looks really, really short and her legs look really long, right? she's got great glutes. And I feel like the reason why she's pushing so hard is she's trying to get those hamstring tie-ins to come in. But the bottom line is that she's just not conditioned enough. She's not quite lean enough. So again, if she comes in just a little bit tighter, those hamstrings are going to pop, and then she could stand up tall, and we're going to get a much better balanced frame. From the back, there's just so many little tiny tweaks here with this pose that would make it so much better. But I feel like I understand why they did it this way. And that was to make her look like she was better conditioned than she actually was. So all she's really got to do is just tighten up. Same thing from the Arnold. She needed to tighten up from the Arnold. I would say she still needs to tighten up here still. So again, she's got a beautiful frame, beautiful look all the way around. She just has to be tighter, period. Just has to be tighter. And then we have our winner for this particular show, which was Maria. Going into the show, she was my choice for winner. I mean, she's been just on a tear, killing it. As far as, the Arnold coming in top 4, all of that stuff too. So I think anybody that was betting against her was stupid. So that's the bottom line. She's just really well balanced. Again, when you look at her frame from top to bottom, there's nothing here that stands out, right? There's nothing here that stands out as being like overpowering or too much or to this or to that. None of that, right? It just, everything flows really well together. Conditioning is full and round. She's tight everywhere, but she's popping everywhere too. Like I was saying here, she's got that shoulder, but it pops, it's got that fullness, that roundness, that healthy looking muscle to it. Same thing with her legs and her quads, her waistline. Everything is nice and tight and round and full. This is great conditioning, and she already has a really well-balanced shape. And I said this a few years ago about her. She was getting up into those first call-outs, but she just could not crack out a win. And I was like, once she can figure that out, and once she can get that first win under her belt, she's going to be really, really dangerous at that point. And now I would say she's one of our top competitors out there that could be a threat for the top 5 of the Olympia this coming year. You know what I mean? So don't sleep on this little chica. She's teeny tiny, but she's powerful, right? So let's go to a back shot. One of the things that I've critiqued her back shot before is that she tends to be a little bit too conditioned in the back, which lacks the pop. Kind of diminishes that 3D projection from the back. And I would say that right here, she's right on, Again, notice the difference between her and Ariana. Maria is standing up super tall, right? So that makes her waistline look so much longer here. Makes her balance from top to bottom. Sometimes, sometimes her tie-ins from the back are too tight. They're not here. You can see she's got some good projection there on the glutes, right? So this is a very, very good position for her. I think this is kind of in between a pose. Again, this is just the shot that they have on NBC News that has her in that back pose. So I think this is kind of in between. I think she probably arched it a little bit more, but they just don't have another full length shot. So let me see. Let me see if any of these, see, they're all in between shots. She didn't actually get a full. Yeah, that's the best one we got. So, she's one of these people that, like, now that she's found her formula, she's going to be really hard to beat. So, I mean, I don't know what other shows she's planning on doing this year, but I would look out for every time she gets on that stage, right? So congratulations to her. She did this show last year, and yeah, she came in second. I actually had her winning last year personally. So she came back and she won it. So I don't have any issue with any of these placings. I think they're really well put together, all of that. And now it's time to move on to what we got going on this weekend. So let's see. All right, we got Wasatch. So the first thing that I noticed looking at Wasatch is there are a lot of names on this list that I don't know. I'm just going to be real. Some of these girls have all competed this year. Actually one of them I think I didn't pull up that I probably should have is Tatiana. Oh no, Tayana. No, it's different person. So type into the comments. Again, there's a lot of girls on this list. I only pulled up 2 girls. Okay. I only pulled up 2. So type into the comments if there's somebody on this list that we should be looking at, if they've placed top 5 this year or last year. Now, one I did not pull up is Steph Warden here, because the last show that she was in, she didn't place in the top 5. She has in the past. So, if she comes in a little bit tighter, conditioning wise, things like that. She could end up moving up, but I didn't pull her up for this show just because of the last showing that she had. But again, she could definitely pull up. The ones that I'm thinking of, I mean, clearly we have, where's she at before I say anything? There she is. So clearly we have Jordan. So we just talked about Jordan, right? So she is one of our front runners coming into it, right? So I didn't bring up her pictures because we just looked at her, but she's one of the ones that we got to look at. Just, placed fourth. So she's definitely gonna be one of your front runners, right? Next one that I pulled up was right here. Was Savannah. So Savannah has not been on stage since the Olympia 2013 or 2003. Sorry, 2013. That was a while ago. 2023. She hasn't been on stage in a while, over a year. So anything could happen at this point, you know what I mean, with her. But I did want to bring her up because she is a previous Olympian. So I wanted to at least show her, give her some notice here. So people will be watching for her. Well, good luck at your pro debut. Yeah, it looks like there's a lot of pro debuts at this show. Looks like there's a lot of pro debuts. So that's what I'm seeing from the names that I looked at, right? So this could be a very interesting show because there's a lot of girls on this list that we're not familiar with or have not been seen on the pro stage at all. So it could be a whole new set of people up in the top 5 and get us off to a start for the year with people that we don't know. You know what I mean? I also pulled up Emmy. So Emmy just won San Diego. She is Olympia qualified. So I would put her up in those top as well. And that's really all that I got as far as like people that are Olympia qualified, all that kind of fun stuff. So, Jordan's already Olympia qualified. So is Emmy. So I'd say there's your top 2 that we're looking at. And then, like I said, we've got Savannah that's coming back after a year off. I don't know anybody else on this list. Anybody else have somebody that we should be looking at? Anybody? I'm going to give it a minute before we move on to the next show. Get rid of these. It's a pretty big list, though. So this is going to be interesting. Now, we do have Masters as well. So a lot of these girls that you see are going to be in the Masters lineup as well. So there's that. But I don't know. All U.S. and Canada, though. Nobody from Europe. So yeah, Peyton I looked her up though. She didn't do well this year yet. So, and yeah, I looked at Tiana. I was just looking at that. I thought I should probably pull her up and I didn't. And I just realized that when I pulled up the list, I didn't see her initially. Let me see. So, and again, she hasn't competed since last year, but she did do well last year. Yep. So 2nd in Mexico. What was it? 5th in Chicago, 4th in Vancouver. So yeah, I noticed that after I pulled that up for this live feed that I didn't pull her up. I don't know. Bree. I don't recognize this name. Okay, so she just competed in San Diego. Okay. Is she new to the pro circuit? Yeah, last year Brianna did not do anything really. She placed 3rd in Vancouver, but that was Vancouver. I hate to say it like that. But this year she did place 2nd in San Diego. So that I just am not familiar with her yet. See if I can just find a good front shot of hers to pull up. Well, There's Brianna. So there's somebody to be paying attention to as well. Yeah, that's cool that Carly won the overall. I don't see an amateur coming out and beating a couple of Olympians. I'm just saying. I mean, she's as a pro now, what I'm saying, but I don't see her coming out and doing that. But stranger things have happened. So good luck to her. Yeah. So this is kind of a wide open thing. You know what I mean? So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We got girl power at the same time. So girl power is a bit deeper, right? It's about the same size list, a couple competitors shy of Wasatch, but it's deeper as far as the athletes are concerned, right? So we just talked about Ariana, so I didn't pull her up. Just talked about Kiki, so I didn't pull her up. But let's look at who else we got up here. So we've got Ariel. Ariel was in the Olympia. Ariel is always a threat when she gets on stage. Always. She did place 5th at San Diego as well, which I didn't even realize that. She placed 5th this year already. To me, this looks like she's a little on the thin side, but we'll see. I mean, who knows what happens when she comes in. I've always thought she has a really beautiful look, but I feel like her posing is always a little bit wonky. So she's definitely going to be watching. I would think she's probably going to be up towards the top 5, that kind of thing. Then we have Jessica Delias. So she was in the Olympia, not last year, but the year before. God, my nose is itching. Nose is itching for some reason. Anyway, so she's qualified for the Olympia in the past. She tends to be top 5 whenever she gets on stage. This was Georgia. I was actually in that show as well. This was probably one of her worst placings in Georgia, to be honest, but she typically is in the first call out top 5. She's been off stage for a bit, so we'll see what she looks like when she comes back. She's going to be watching as well. Marioli, I brought her up as well. She was in first call out at Charlotte. She ended up placing what? Would she place 9th? Don't know exactly how the call out went, but I did notice she was in first call out when they first started that. So, well, maybe not. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing now that I'm looking at the picture. But anyway, she's been top 5 several times, missed the Olympic qualifications several times. So I did bring her up as well. And let's look at Nade. So here's Nade right here. So Nade, she placed first in Kansas. She's been to Olympia. Looking at the Nashville, Arizona, Daytona. All of these she was top 5. So she's definitely one to be looking out for. She hasn't been on stage in a little bit. She doesn't really need to in my opinion, doesn't need to make a lot of improvements to her physique other than just some more density and kind of tweaking the posing a little bit. So I'm curious to see what she's done for this show. But she's definitely one to be watching as well. There we go. Lexus, there you go. So Lexus, again, has not been on stage since the Olympia in 2023. She has qualified the Olympia a couple of times. Her issue is always bringing her lower half in conditioned enough. So there's some shows where she's just like bang on and she's really hard to beat. There's other shows where she comes in and she's just not conditioned enough on her lower half. Beautiful girl, beautiful overall shape. It's just always the lower half conditioning that's a little bit off sometimes, and that's what ruins her look if she doesn't end up in that top, 2, top 3, that kind of thing. So it's been a little bit since she's been off stage. I'm guessing she's been working on putting on some quality density so she can get that conditioning under control. So I'm curious to see what she looks like when she comes out on stage this coming weekend, but she's going to be watching as well. And then we've got Alice Rocha, who again came out. She was one of the few people to beat Ashley Kaltwasser this past year. Did make it to the Olympia, her first season here, and was in the top 15 too. So she placed in the top 15. So she's absolutely one to be watching. She's one of those ones where she's incredibly stunning on stage. So it's just a matter of, to be honest with you, a lot of these girls in this lineup that I'm pulling up are tall, long, lean girls. So I think they're all going to compare pretty well to each other. So she's one to be watching for sure as well. And this was the breed that I brought up the other show. So let's get rid of that because she's not on this show. So this show itself is a hell of a lot more competitive as far as girls that have been to the Olympia and been placing top 5, right? I don't think I missed anybody on this one. Did I miss anybody? This is going to be an interesting one because there's a lot of girls here that are your consistent top 5ers. So not everybody can place top 5, right? It's going to be interesting to see who ends up being there and who ends up not, right? But if I had to guess for this show, as far as a winner is concerned, I'd have to say Ariana. Ariana's probably your front runner. But I think all of these girls, like a lot of these girls I've mentioned, like I think Ariana, Ariel, I think Nade, Alice, I think they're all going to compare really well to each other. So it's just going to be a matter of who shows up best that day between all of them. And of course, there's other girls on here that could end up in those top spots that we just have not mentioned, but these are just the ones that we've seen in the past. So I put Ariana for the win in this one. I would put Jordan for the win in Wasatch as far as records are concerned and just placements at the Olympia and things like that are concerned. That's who I would say are your front runners. But as we know, this is anybody's game any given weekend, depending on how people come in and how they show up on stage. So what do you guys think? Before we finish out for today, tell me who you've got for both shows. Who do you got for Wasatch and who you got for Girl Power? And I believe there's a live feed for Girl Power. I don't know about Wasatch. I didn't look. Alice, Ari, and Ariel, a AAA threat. Yeah. And the thing is their shapes and their frames are all going to compare very well to each other because they're very long girls, like long, lean girls. So I'm just curious to see who comes in looking their best, you know? Anybody got any picks? I'll leave this open for like 2 more minutes. Go ahead and put your thoughts in here. This is really kind of the start of the burner part of the season, right? Now that we're going towards May, we're going to start seeing a lot of these heavy hitters coming back out, and it's gonna be interesting to see how all these things play out, right? Okay. There's usually a live stream for Wasatch. So I figured they probably had one. I just didn't check. Girl Power, I did see that they have one. They almost always have one for Girl Power, I think. All right. Well, I know I'll be watching along and seeing who's going to end up taking home the titles. This week for Behind the Bikini, we will have Jane on, who is a fit model NPC athlete, but she has switched over from bikini. She's been competing for a long time, as a coach herself, all of that. So we're going to talk to her about why she made the choice to switch to fit model from bikini. She already won the overall in San Diego. She's going to Girl Power this coming weekend to compete as well before she goes to pro qualifier. So thank you for the hair. So for those of you that don't know, I'm going back to blonde. So I did the first session of lifting, 3 weeks ago or something like that. So they brought it up to red at this point. My next session to lift it again is in 2 weeks, I think. So hopefully we'll get closer to blonde. Hopefully we'll get closer to blonde. It's a process, but I like the red. It's fun. It works really well with my skin tone, but it's very high maintenance. And every time that I wash it, more of the red washes out. So I won't be keeping the red, unfortunately. I've done red several times, and that's the most annoying part about it is it's very, very high maintenance. So, but anyways, so yes, we will have Behind the Bikini this week, and we'll be talking to Jane. So if you guys have any questions, I've got a question box up on my Insta stories right now. So go check that out and type in a question that you'd like to ask, as far as, what she, just we're gonna talk about everything, what she feels about, switching divisions, what she likes about bikini, what she likes about fit model, why she made the switch, all the things. So anything that you have questions about, feel free to ask. Other than that, though, let's see how this plays out this weekend. I hope you guys all have a great rest of your week. I know it's only Tuesday, but it feels like this week has been going on forever because I've had so much work to get caught up on. And good luck to everybody that's competing this weekend, whether it's at these shows or others, you know. So our season really is starting to heat up at this point. So let's go. Let's have some fun. All right. We'll talk soon.